Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy Sunday, the November 26th. This is Don Quixote Strusen streaming live for the very first time. Um, First off, I'd like to thank you for joining me this afternoon. This is very exciting for me. This is going to be my first live stream. Um, so the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted to give the chance for my community to grow and just kind of get to know the creator, behind the scenes of the channel and what have you. And this was one of the ways I was thinking of doing that. And more importantly, you know, it's just something I've been passionate about for a while, and I've seen other YouTubers do it, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. So I am looking forward to seeing what the comments bring in, and what the community has to say. But more often than not, I'm just happy to kind of get into why I created the channel in the first place, and what I'm looking forward to the future. So to start off, I'd like to give a little background. You've probably seen my video about who I am, or how I decided to become a YouTuber in the first place. But I wanted to give a little bit of more background and kind of give that transparent feeling to my subscribers, so they know who they're following, and you know basically kind of that sense of they know who they're watching, so that they don't have to kind of question, well, is she citing anything or what have you. So to start off, I am you know obviously Don Quixote Strusen. um I have been YouTubing. It's kind of funny, actually, because I started a similar channel a while back. I'd say circa around 2009, between that and 2013. But that video never actually made any traction, so I just kind of forgot about it for a while. So what inspired me to come back is that I I found that YouTubing was a very great way to be able to kind of create my own schedule, but more than that, talk about things that I normally wouldn't be able to talk about. And more to the point, it was something that I'm not very good at public speaking, mind you, but it's something that I enjoy doing. You know, I like to get to interact with others. I like to get different opinions on things, and overall, I'm a pretty level-headed type of guy. So, um, it's just something that I've always been, you know, kind of looking as a venue. So when the opportunity to become a YouTuber presented itself again, I was quick to jump at the chance. And for a while, I tried to get back into the working scene, but for someone like me who has several different disabilities, it can be difficult. So it was not something I was able to do successfully, but that only motivated me to start my YouTube channel up even more. Because if someone tells me I can't do something, I'm not just gonna let that be the end all or be all. I'm gonna find a different way to you know, make my mark in the world and be a better person than I was before. So, with that being said, yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Like I said, first time. Um, so what really led me down this YouTuber type of path was a lot of my experiences through life. Um, it was something that I felt like I could leave into the world, because, there are a lot of people like me out there who kind of struggle in trying to find their place and what their specific, what they want to do, or, struggling to find what their passion is. And for me, I've had a lot of different dreams. I would like to open my own restaurant. I wanted to be a music conductor. I wanted to start a band, and I've had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things. But I feel like, um, just being able to talk and chat with others and get to know what their different points of view are. I feel like that's more than a good way to get, you know, become a better person and learn more. So again, going off of that, a lot of the reason I wanted to start this channel, well, I say that a lot, but what I mean is, for example, in high school, my school life is kind of difficult, and it wasn't always that way, but I was kind of the odd kid out, and I never really fit in with a specific group of people. I was always kind of standoffish, like alone on the side, and due to that, it was kind of difficult for me to make friends. Um, I did when I was younger, but especially moving from state to state, that was really rough on me because trying to start over from scratch after you've kind of been cemented into like a different friend group, it can be really difficult. So, um, I get it. And, if you had asked me back then, um, do you think that there's going to be several life altering events that are going to make school even harder? I probably wouldn't have even thought about it at the time. But looking back on it, I think our generation was lucky to have the privilege of not having technology be the sole responsibility for how we learn. And why I'm bringing this up is because I know in today's educational system, it is very difficult to try to keep, you know, up with everything. I mean, it's easy when you have Chat GPT and um, all these AI things helping you out with homework, but I feel personally like it takes the fun out of learning. And, you know, for example, one of my favorite activities I like to do during the class was in English when we got to go outside and read. And I feel like a lot of that's been, we're shifting from actual learning to just becoming, cogs in a machine. Like, just yes people to, you know, be sent out to the workforce. And I don't necessarily think that's healthy in the educational setting because in order for a company to grow, in order for people to grow, they need to have their own input in how their education, and of course, you can't have facts that are opinionated. Well, you can, but what I mean is, everyone has their own unique approach to education, and everyone needs to find their own way on how to, further their educational needs. And by leaving it all to technology, it kind of takes out that creativity and inspiration. And circling back to the YouTuber conversation a little bit ago, that's kind of one of the reasons why um, YouTubing is so great because it allows you that flexibility and that creativity to kind of make your own, mark on your channel and what have you. So, um, like I said, I feel like the educational system has gone a little bit downhill, and obviously with everything going on, it's kind of hard not to. And I can't solely put the blame on the teachers. It's overwhelming because the workforce and the educational system go hand in hand. If parents are overworked, they can't always be keeping an eye on their kids. And the teachers who are understaffed, that makes it even harder. So I don't think our educational system is getting enough support, and that's putting the future generations at risk. And it's kind of sad because we as a country strive for independence and freedom and, you know, being unique. And I think we need a lot more of that in order to truly understand what it means to define ourselves. Um, so, that's just something I've been thinking about for a while. Now, switching over from a similar topic to work life, I've been following a lot of news articles recently about how struggling how workplaces are struggling to keep employees and how businesses are understaffed. Well, it's kind of hard not to understand why that is. I mean, if you take a company like Sam's Club, for example, and they're slowly integrating technology to take over regular positions like cashiering, like, it's fine to have a couple of self checkouts, and in theory, scan and go is a good idea. But if you're going to replace your workers in the snap of a finger with computers, they're not going to want to remain loyal. And, you know, especially with the cost of living going up, it's scary to have that possibility that, yes, you're required, as an employer, required to give your employer a 30 to 60-day notice, but they can just let you go on the spot. It's kind of unbalanced there. And like I said, with the cost of living going up, that rigidity in scheduling, and employment, it's scary. I remember when I was working at Sam's Club, my schedule was, constantly changed without my notification or my, knowledge, and it was frustrating because I would be in trouble and I would have no idea why. And when I saw that my schedule was changed, I get frustrated because I didn't agree to that, or I wasn't supposed to work then. But you know, if employers want to keep good employment, they have to understand that treating their employees is one of the key factors into making that happen. And obviously, that goes both ways. I mean, you got to show some respect to the business and company that you're working for. But that doesn't necessarily mean you need to dedicate 100% of your life to that company. I mean, you know, I'm a strong proponent of this, but um, I don't think that your life should revolve around your work. They say work-life balance, but I think it should be life-work balance. And the reason I say that is it was kind of like how I was raised. My father, he was a hardworking man. He always brought food on the table. He made sure we were well taken care of. And even when he was working full time, he always made sure to make sure that he was with, able to attend events like my concerts or my brother's sports games and what have you. And it was a very, very, reassuring feeling to know that no matter how busy he got, he was always going to be there for me and my brother. And I do not want to ever take that position for granted. And that's kind of what formed my opinion on it today. Because there are so many times where you're just overwhelmed and you're rushed and you forget to take the time to just stop and breathe and remember what's really important. And again, it ties into that. If your work is pushing you to forget about the things that are important in life, then you got to question, is that really the job for you? And that is one of the reasons why I made a rule to myself that no matter what company it is, no matter how high the position it will be, I will never put my job before my family. And that is something that I have lived with since, I don't know, I'd say I was 16. Because I've been to multiple different jobs and I've liked some of them, I've not liked some of them, but no matter whether I liked them or hated them, I always made sure that I put my family first. And that's an important rule I live by. Now, that has come back to hurt me a couple of times, but even when it has, I don't regret it because I've been here for important moments like my grandfather's funeral or my brother's graduation and what have you. Now, I wasn't able to attend because this was during COVID, but I still watched it on the live stream. So, with that being said, uh, back to the get to know the creator type of content I wanted to reach out today. I'd like to give you a little. I talk a lot about my family, but I don't get into it that much. So today, I kind of like to give you a little background about my family. Um, I have biologically, because I'm adopted, I have 7 brothers and 3 sisters. Uh, I don't know who they are exactly because my biological mother is from Honduras, so I don't know, where any of them are at the moment. But adoptively, I have my father, my mother, and my brother. Now, I know you kind of hear this a lot, but they are the best family I ever could have asked for. They have been so supportive, even when I was at my worst. They never gave up on me. And, I admit there are times where I can be selfish and, want stuff. And I'm the type of person that's a little bit impatient. I try to find the quickest way to do something possible. And that's not necessarily always a good trait. But even when I'm at my lowest point, they've always managed to let me know they were there for me. And that is something that I treasure with all my heart. And it makes me happy that, even though I'm not making an income now, that they're still supporting my dream of becoming a YouTuber. So, it was kind of hard, to be honest, because as I said, my parents moved down to Texas, and that was kind of like difficult for me in more ways because I could have never imagined that in my life there was ever going to be a point where I couldn't just go down, like take a 30-minute drive and say, "Hey, here's your son." But the fact that they're doing so well and that they're happy with they are more than makes up for the gap between where I live and Texas. So, and my brother, he is, like I said, one of the most strong-willed people I have ever known. He has been faced with adversity after adversity, and he handles it so much better than I ever did when I was his age. Um, as an older sibling, I kind of feel, and I said this before too, I kind of feel silly for saying this, but if you ask me who one of my heroes are, I would definitely say it was my brother. He is someone who does not care what anyone thinks about him. He will sit down and yes, he's not always good at getting things done on time, but that doesn't matter to him because he will always find his own way and forge his own path. And just that be able to commit to sticking to your own guns and standing your ground, it's something that I find completely and utterly respectable. Um, when I look at everything he's been through, because he's not my biological brother, he's adopted as well, but he was adopted a year later than me. I I just am astounded how much he's grown from that little, shy guy that I used to know to this outgoing person who's just leveling up through life, and there is never a moment where I'm not impressed with him. Um, he's the type of guy that everything always seemed to come easy to him. I've always struggled due to my autism with math and homework and stuff like that. But him, I was just amazed at how well he got stuff done. Um, it was like he could just take one look at it and automatically memorize it. And just seeing how amazing that was, it was, inspiring to me. And really, that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to continue this channel. It's like, if he can take something and stick with it, then I should be able to too. There isn't any particular reason why I shouldn't. And it's I say this a lot, and I will never not think this. I mean, we don't talk as much as I'd like to, and I understand why. He's a busy guy, but he will always be someone that I look up to, and I respect with all the respect I have to give, just because of how far he's come. And as an older sibling, I couldn't be more proud. I really couldn't. I know my parents are proud of him. I'm proud of him. You know, uh, I gotta admit, I was kind of jealous because he was able to get along with my cousins better than I ever could. I couldn't figure out why, but mainly it's just because I don't have that. I'll be honest. I'm not really interested in adult things like drinking or you know uh, any of that party life or stuff like that. And he's always been more flexible with that kind of stuff. He's been able to adjust to different situations. Me, I'm more of a stick in the mud, if you know what I mean. I'm usually in bed by 8:30, what have you, and seeing him be able to just go and live life to the fullest, it's really admirable. So, that's all I'm going to say about that. I think I've gone on a long enough tangent about that. So, um, the next topic I was going to talk about is some of my other dreams and goals that I've had. Now, I've had a lot of different aspirations throughout my life. Like I started at the beginning of the video, I've wanted to be a singer, cook, veterinarian, engineer, for trains, stuff like that. That I've gone through the motions of all the different things I've wanted to go. But I think being a YouTuber has probably been my best career, only again because I get the creativity to do things how I want. Like, I guess the best way to describe it is be my own boss. And, I'm a small time YouTuber now, and I hope to get into the 1,000 subscribers, million subscribers, because I do share a lot of interests with similar YouTubers like anime, One Piece, um, and just casual conversation too. Like, I don't have any set genre I like to stick to because I feel like if you stick to one certain topic, you tend to run out a lot faster, and I like to keep my options open. With that being said, you know, uh, a lot of the things I wanted to do require a college career, and admittedly, college life wouldn't have been for me. It really wouldn't have. Like, I like studying and I like learning new things, but I don't like the environment that it's in. Because if I'm going to learn something, I want to do it on my own. And I want to learn at my own pace, not just read a bunch of textbooks that are overpriced. And I respect anyone that goes to college because it's rough, trust me. To try to balance work life, college life, and then your regular life as well, it can't be easy. And I've always respected, those that went to extend their career. Um, and for a while, I thought about it, to be honest, but um, it just wasn't for me. I prefer to discover things on my own, and I guess I've always been like that. And I don't regret being that way. Um, I will say this: there are advantages to having a college career, or not college career, but college degree and what have you. And the effort's definitely worth it if you're willing to put in the time. But like I said, I'm just not someone that could, you know, sit all that time and read out of a textbook. So, you know, um, with that being said, there are some goals that I have been working on and that I'd like to do. Like, for example, um, one thing you don't know a lot about me that I'm very sensitive in talking about, but I would like to bring up is cancer, like the big C, and trigger warning. I do want to get this out of the way. It is going to be talking about some diseases, so if you don't like hearing about this stuff, I just recommend skipping ahead. I don't know how long, but just until the topic's over with. But cancer is something that has plagued my family and a lot of my family members, and it has been so hard to watch my family members go through that. And one thing I'd like to do is be able to start a foundation for those going through with it. Because I would hope to high heaven that if I did something good in my life, that it would be able to help those that are going through situations like that and their families be able to lessen the stress, financially and um mentally, physically. I mean, it's not easy. The worry just never goes away, and you hope that your loved ones, you know, go through this experience and try to go through it as painless as possible. But it's not something that can always be done, and it's hard to be on the sidelines wishing there was more than you can do, and knowing that you can't be able to do anything more. And so, I would like to be able to, you know, bring more recognition to that. And I know there are a lot of charities out there similar to what I'm trying to start, but it's just something that I feel very strongly about having to see so many of my family members go through that experience. And it's one of the things that makes you value life a lot more because you you never think it's going to happen to you, or you never think you're going to be someone that's going through it. And it's hard enough being someone that watches someone else go through it without actually being the one to go through that experience. Um, it's something that makes you think a lot back on life and think about appreciating the little things that you have. And you know, if there was a message I could give out there to anyone that was going through this, I'd say be strong, and not just for you, for your loved ones, because I don't know anyone that would want to go this, and they don't. It's hard enough on them, but they also have to worry about their family members too. And at the end of the day, we can't focus solely on what they're going through. We have to, excuse me, we have to remember that we have to be strong for each other because you know we don't want our last memories of these moments together to be ones of pain and sorrow. We want them to be encouraging. We want them to be filled with laughter and love. And I'm sorry I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but it was kind of creeping up on me last night. I've been thinking the last couple of days. You know, what do I want my family to remember me as? Do they want me to remember, like, when the time comes, if the time comes, what do I want my family to remember me for? Do I want them to remember me as someone who always looks on the negative and looks at the bad things in life? Because trust me, it's easy enough to do. There's been more than a number of times I've looked and wondered, what is the point? What is the end goal of all of this? But at the end of the day, I'm just bringing those around me into that slump with me, and that's not what I want to do. Their lives are hard enough. And that doesn't mean that you're at fault. Like I said, it's easy to just look in the, gap and say, well, why am I even trying anymore? But it's it may be harder to do, but it's a lot more rewarding if you can come out of that experience and laugh it off and just say, you know what, I'm not going to let this get me down. And that is something that I think is important to do, especially because, like I said, you don't want their last memories with you to be filled with grief and worry and struggling. You want them to be the happiest moments of their life, no matter how bad the situation is. And that's kind of why I adopted the personality of, all right, I've got to try to be as happy, this go getting person because, and I don't always succeed at it. I'm not going to claim to be this positive person all the time. That's not who I am. Um, it's impossible to keep that, energetic momentum up all the time. There are going to be days when I'm down and I'm feeling depressed, but that just motivates me more to try to be a better person. And because I don't want to be that person that everyone looks at and thinks, oh, well, we should just cut him out of your life because he's always going to be depressed. I want to be the type of person that people can come to and say, hey, I'm having a hard day. Do you think you can listen? Or, you know, oh, I know someone that can cheer you up. It's him, you know? Um, and it makes me happy when I think about that someday that could be me. That could be you know, I could be the friend that everyone goes to when they're having a hard time. Um, and again, it's something that I've been thinking about a lot the last couple of nights. Um, it's amazing to me how inspiration can just come out of nowhere for a video. Like you could be laying in bed in the middle of the night and it's like, oh, I really wanted to document this. And like I said, that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm so glad I have this opportunity. Like, obviously, I'm not going to get up at 12 a.m. and make a video unless it's really important, but just being able to take the inspirations that I have and be able to record it is something that I value because maybe someone going through similar experience will, get, you know, inspiration from it, or they'll be able to find their own way to deal with what they're going through. And at the end of the day, as much as I'd love to see this channel grow, if I could just change one or two lives, that is all I am ever looking for. Because I want to make sure that, I didn't just live my life thinking of myself. Um, I want to know that I impacted other lives as well. And, a huge part of that is, I haven't always been the best person. I'll be upfront about that. There have been times where I have let my, inner demons get the better of me. And if I could reach out to those people that I've hurt in the past and apologize, Lord knows I would. Because I don't like making anybody feel bad. It's not who I am, it's not in my nature. And to be able to just, for an instant, say, I'm sorry would mean more than all the money in the world. Because at the end of the day, I'm I'm someone who just looking to make it better, even if it's just a little bit. There's a lot of darkness in the world, and I'm someone who's trying to bring a light into this world. Am I going to succeed always? No. Am I going to slip up? Of course. It's just one of those things we as YouTubers have to remember. Being an influencer isn't just about getting the most likes, the most comments, the most subscribers. We are actively, sharing our experience with others, and we have to do our best to be a positive influence out there. Because if we are ever to, I mean, the title says it all, influencer. Um, and I'm just gonna, before I go on to my last subject, I'm just gonna talk about that for a little bit because over the last few weeks I've been researching different types of YouTubers and what have you, and they fall under all different categories. But as an influencer, we have to, it's fine if you want to make content that's scripted and stuff like that. There it's called acting. That's a normal thing. But what we've got to remember is when we're not acting and we're not writing these skits, we have to remember how the public's going to view us because we can't expect things if for example, if I was to get a brand deal or if I became a big time YouTuber and I wanted to do a partnership with some company, let's say, um, let's see, who was a company? Sam's Club, for instance. I would not take any freebies, and I'll tell you why. Because just because I grew and my career grew doesn't mean that I'm better than everyone else. And you know, I'm not going to go out and expect free things just because people know my name. Being an influencer may make me famous, but that doesn't mean I'm better than everyone else. I breathe the same air, I walk the same earth, and I'm not going to think highly of myself just because my name got out there and all of a sudden I'm this, you know, person that people look up to. I've got to remember as an influencer, it's my responsibility to teach, not teach, but inspire people to be their best selves. And you're not going to do that if you keep on expecting free things just because you've got a big following or and it extends to the things you buy too. Like if you're gonna immediate, I find what a lot of YouTubers have a problem with is that when they get famous, they let that fame go to their head. Like once they start making money and they're able to afford the next things in life, they tend to forget where they came from. Like not very rarely do people start off that successful. And you've got to remember how long it took to build up that reputation. And in the end, yes, you're successful, but the success didn't come solely based on your accomplishments. You made the content, and you made the videos for people to share and like. But it wasn't you alone who got you famous. It was your subscribers, it was your fan base, it was your friends and family who shared the content. Nobody can become successful alone. That's just the way the world works. Or at least very rarely can you become successful on your own. Um, I've got I've got a friend who um had a parent who was part of the inventor of the ATM, and he made his father made a program for it. Well, he was wealthy as a person could be for that time, but instead of choosing that path of you know feeding off their parents' money, he decided to go his own route and start a band. And at the time, I didn't realize why anyone would do that. I mean, if you could make the money, take it. But as I've gotten older, I've realized now I understand why he did that. Because you know, whether we want to admit it or not, even the best of us, when we become famous, we tend to forget where our roots are and where we came from. And at the end of the day, that's what led to our success. It inspired us to go outside the box and try something new. It's to be a better person for not only our friends and family, but for those around us. And again, as a YouTuber, we've got to remember that people are watching our content. They need to know that, we don't like, I wouldn't, I don't like calling them followers because I'm not a leader, or at least not in that sort of sense. I wouldn't use the term influencer or, you know, big star, whatever. I don't like using those terms. The people that subscribe to my channel, they're my friends because, I don't want them to think that I'm better than them. And I'm not making this content to try to be at the top of the billboard or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to be the next Mr. Beast or what have you. I'm doing this so that I can make an impact in the world. And I can if at the very least change a couple of lives. Like, if not, you know, and I'm not gonna go about it like um some of them with these life stories and what have you, because the truth of the matter is life isn't always gonna be fair, and whether we like it or not, you are gonna struggle. That's just the way the world works. It's not the struggles that you go through that define you, but it's how you go above and beyond and try to get out of the struggles that defines you. And don't get me wrong, there are times that I have been very tempted to take a different road, but at the end of the day, what's kept me level headed is how would my parents react if I did this? How would my brother react if I decided to go this route? And at the end of the day, it's how I've struggled and how I've come out of those struggles that have inspired me to do better. Excuse me. I apologize. And again, that's all I ever could have asked for in becoming a YouTuber. It's if I can at least reach out and just change a couple of lives, that's all I could ever hope for. And if anyone that sees this video, um, you know, liked my content and shared it, that would be great. I don't have to be their favorite YouTuber. I don't even have to be in their top 20. As long as they enjoy the content and they like the content, that's all that can matter for me. Um, this has been a longer video. I'm kind of excited. I'm enjoying this. I really am. But for the last couple of minutes before I log out here, I think I'm going to talk about a little bit trivia about me. Um, just to kind of end this, off on a positive note, I kind of wanted to talk about a little stuff that you may not know about me. Um, all my life I've been a dog person. I mean, I've always been an animal person, to be honest, regardless of what it is, except sharks and snakes. I am scared of those, and mainly because, they could probably, Anyway, I'm not a really big, chooser in deciding between cats or dogs. I love horses. I love, there's so much respect and that we can learn from the animals that we share this world with, and that's with. Sorry, speech impediment there for a bit. But you know, I like to think that just because we've learned to speak doesn't mean that we're any, more advanced. I mean, you know, obviously we can drive and stuff like that, but the difference is, we adapt. We learn how to change to our environment. And that is something that is very important. And I don't like to think that just because we learn to walk on two legs and speak means that we're more entitled to the earth than, any of our animal friends are. No, I'm not vegan. But I just I'm someone who respects the environment. I'm just gonna say it right out. I don't like this expansion. I don't like, and it's difficult because I know there are some people that could say, well, you say that, but you still eat meat and stuff like that. And it's like, look, yes, I enjoy a good burger or two, but that doesn't mean I feel good about it, or that doesn't mean I don't respect the earth because, I think there's a lot of stuff that we could do better, like to stop pollution and save the planet. Like if we could just stop expanding and reuse and recycle some of the buildings that we already have, we could go a long way already. We don't need to tear down more wildlife just to build new homes and what have you. And you know, I part of my best memories are going out camping, and I can't go camping in a parking lot. Like that's not something that I would find fun. It's the nature, from the trees to the. I mean, heck, it just snowed here in um Viking territory, and I love it. I love watching the snow fall on the trees and the ice hanging from the branches. I don't want there to ever be a point in the future where I forget what that looks like because there was too much nature missing. Um, we've got to learn to value the environment that we have around us. Um, so yeah, it's just one of those things where I think we need to appreciate the world that we've been given a lot more than we actually do. Um, and on that note, uh, I'm looking forward to continuing my YouTube career. I hope you all liked and enjoyed this first session with um Don Quixote Strusen. Um, I look forward to making more videos. I look forward to getting to know my subscribers. And to end it, I'd say if you like the content, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share with a friend if you like. The more the merrier, I'd say. And I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. More videos to come. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Um, yeah, so have a good rest of November and happy holidays.